Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in today. We got a very special guest in the building. We're running it back to back. You saw 2 weeks ago, we had Jova from H-Town. Today, also from H-Town, from Houston, Texas, baby, we got in the building none other than Mr. HVNSON himself. So y'all make noise one time for my boy.
What is good, man? I am so excited to be here, bro. It is an absolute honor. Thank you for having me, man.
Bro, thank you, man. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for bringing this iced coffee with lemonade.
Oh, it busts. It busts.
Hey, that's bust.
Don't judge me. If you're listening to this and you're like, coffee, lemonade, crazy, look, don't judge it before you try it. If you try it and you don't like it, it's not my fault. You just got a bad one. That's all I'm saying, bro.
Yeah, you got a bad one. It was probably like Minute Maid, versus some barista somewhere actually squeezing that fresh. Because look, I had a sip just before we went live. And
he's already cracked out.
I can't feel my face. I never thought to put cold brew and lemonade together. It's delicious. And when I think of cold brew and lemonade, two unlikely things coming together to make something beautiful, kind of think of us, like,
hey, you gonna out us like that already, bro?
We just like out of the world. We coming from two different corners of the world.
Crazy.
No, I'm playing. We'll work our way to it, man. Bro, good afternoon, man. First things first, man, introductions. So if there's someone watching this episode right now who doesn't know who HVNSON, who doesn't know who HVNSON is, and hey, some of you watching this, y'all probably know, like, my man's recently went through not an identity crisis, but a shift.
Yeah, it's like identity crisis, midlife crisis, bro. I don't even know what to call it.
Quarter
Some
life.
sort of crisis, bro, for sure.
Quarter life.
Quarter life crisis.
Artist-wise and branding, right? It was under the Heezy.
Yeah.
The Heezy Collective, HZY. No affiliation to Yeezy.
Nah, bro, none at all.
None at all. But recently, so you're in the HVNSON, and so you've given me the breakdown in previous, the last time we kicked it about HVNSON, the spelling and how it kind of has two meanings.
Yeah.
But let's talk to someone who doesn't know about it. What is HVNSON? How do you spell it? Give us those two meanings, and then let's talk about what you do, bro.
Yeah, of course. So just to give like a quick breakdown of like the Heezy HVNSON.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know where it started. Somebody back in the day started calling me Heezy, probably because I loved Kanye. I don't know, man.
It's tough.
Yeah, and it kind of just stuck, and I was cool with it. It was cool, but it never felt like me, like it never felt like when somebody would be like, hey, yo, Heezy, like it was difficult to process that they were calling me.
You were reluctant to respond.
Yeah, because it just never felt like where my identity laid, right? And it was just because it wasn't my name, right?
For sure.
And so it was like a big period of that of like, man, like I would love to go by my name. The thing is, there's like a 80s, 90s boy band that, HVNSON, they were absolutely massive, right? So it's like, there's no way that I could go by that same name when they already own all SEO, all ownership of that, right?
Right.
And that's why I never did it. But the longer and longer it went that I hadn't done it, I was like, dude, like I just don't rock with it.
I need to switch something.
Yeah. And I knew it was a problem because like whenever I would introduce myself, I'd be hesitant to be like, yo, what's up? It's Heezy, And that's how I knew like it had to change. And I was just chilling at a coffee shop as I normally do, right, with some of my boys, and I was sharing that with them, and they were like, all right, well, like, dude, let's figure it out right here, right now.
Wow.
Right? And, obviously, like I said, first thing was like, all right, like, I want to go by who I am. Like, I would love to go by my name, and it sucks that because this band had one giant breakout record, I can't, right? So then it was like, all right, well, like, let's look at the options. Like, what can we do?
Yeah.
And are you familiar with Jake?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so obviously, like, his name is spelled, like, his artist name is JVKE.
Right.
People still call him Jake.
Yes.
Right? So the association of A's and V's being interchangeable was kind of like there was precedent set around that, right?
Even like there's a brand, right? Like RVCA.
Yeah.
I've heard it pronounced like Ruka.
Oh, really?
Like the V is it or like Raka or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know how to pronounce the brand. But similar concept, right? Like people using, or even like you see this a lot today, like people using an X as a really as anything,
almost like a placeholder.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's kind of like how we saw it, right? And so it was like, all right, well, like let's see how it would look like, like from a branding perspective now. And so we typed it out in all caps. And once I typed it out, it was HVNSON, right? And seeing it plainly, it's like I know it's HVNSON. I can
read it like that.
Yeah, I can introduce myself as HVNSON, and when people see that that's my artist name, it won't be like, how do I say this, But if somebody sees it for the first time and has no idea who I am, they'll look at it and they'll probably read it HVNSON, right? And it's like, all right, well, that's kind of cool. And it's like the son of heaven, completely by accident. Like that was not the plan,
Wow.
like branding wise or anything. It fit and it worked, and we're like, all right, I can argue into that.
Right. It makes sense.
Yeah,
And so it kind of it's a safety net. Like in the sense of like, let's say they mispronounce Hanson, you're like, well, hey, it works both ways.
Exactly. It's not something that if they say it wrong, and that was the other thing, bro. With Heezy, like nobody knew how to say it. Like
I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Hazy,
Like I'm like, was
Heezy.
it hazy? Was it hezzy?
At this point, I don't even know. You know, so that's how I knew something had to change. And with this, it's like even if people say it wrong, they say Heaven Son. You know, it fits the brand.
That's
It fits
got
the
a nice
brand.
ring to it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So what is not easy. What
Hey,
is
bro, you can call me whatever you want on the pod.
what does Hanson do, bro? Like I know you're an artist, man. I know you've got huge vision driven projects that you work on as far as like the Curb, and we'll talk about what that is and what that means to you. But besides that, like, man, you really do a lot, bro. And I don't mean to answer my own question, but you also like you serve in a young adults worship band. You know, you're involved in artists. I'm not gonna say artist management, but you do affiliate with other artists. You're a content creator, you're a videographer. So like, shoot, I guess I kind of did answer my own question. But like amongst all those different jackets, and maybe if I left something out, you can fill it in. But like, what is your favorite thing like that you got going on right now? Because it's a lot.
Yeah. So if I were to like put it all into like a box, right? Which I hate doing. I hate boxes.
Sure, yeah, boxes suck.
But like I genuinely just like making stuff is the easiest way to put it. I like creation and then everything that comes with that process, right? Because I feel like it's easy for an artist to be like, dude, I love making music, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, we know in like today's like world, that's not enough, right?
Yeah,
like
it's not.
there's promo, there's marketing, there's branding, there's
Performing.
like,
Social media.
Exactly. Like you have to be a content creator pretty much now too. And there's a million things that go into that, right? I love everything about it. Like I love it. It feels like a puzzle to me, right? So it's like figuring out like, all right, like if this is the type of music you're making, who are we selling it to? How can we sell it? You know, like how do we build the artist around that brand? And like I just love developing, right? So at the core, like I'm a very like entrepreneurial minded person. So I own my own marketing agency. That's what I do as like financially, right? That's my living.
Nice.
And like it's the same thing. We're doing the same thing that I help artists do, but with businesses, you know. And it's the same concept. Like I love just creating, like figuring out, all right, like you're trying to enter this market. It's not working because of this. How do we fix it, right?
Problem solver.
Yeah, dude, I just love solving problems. Like I love puzzles, and to me, like all this is a puzzle because it all fits in.
Yeah, it coexists, and it's like, how can we approach these different avenues and like make it make sense?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yet still be efficient.
That's the thing, right? Like
That's a big
especially once you're getting to like, all right, like there's ad spend behind this, like you know, especially like dude, we're dealing with some clients that are spending $150,000, $200,000 every single month, right? If I'm driving an ad with that budget and it's producing $20K in return,
It doesn't make sense.
we're negative, right? And I'm fired, right? So it's like being aware that everything has a cost associated with it, you know. And like to some people, like even if you're not doing ad budgets and stuff like that, there's still time.
Yes.
You know, it's like if I go and I'm like, all right, like let's say there's artist A that's like, dude, I have this fire song, I want to push it, and I give them like some sort of like, damn, what's the word? Campaign. Like if I give them a campaign
Like
to
a
run
rollout.
for it, like rollout, exactly. Even if there's no budget behind it, they still have to take time out of their day, away from their family, away from other stuff to do, right?
To be present for the content shoot,
Exactly,
to
you know?
schedule the content.
So there's always an ask with everything. There's a cost associated with everything, and I want to make sure that my job is making that as efficient and streamlined as possible.
Definitely. Man, that's awesome. And so have you run across any like mistakes in the process? Like it's obviously been a journey of like, you didn't start out being as much as a boss as you are, right? Like it took time, it took lessons. So what's some of the most memorable experiences along the way? And I will say too, like just a thought I'm having, like it's really convenient that your vocational work ties in with your passionate work.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's a different it's actually a similar approach, just a different means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Like
to before I answer the question, like that's something I realized like a couple years ago. There was actually like a missionary that came to speak at our church, right? And they're like out in the middle of nowhere, like literally living in the trenches, right? But they're like happy with that and they're content because that's what God called them to do.
Wow.
Right. And in that moment, I had almost like a conviction where it's like, man, what an absolute blessing that what I got called to do is something that serves my passion as well. Something that I'm passionate about that I can serve God with.
Right.
And with that, it's like, dude, like I have not been taking this as seriously as I need to. When there's that level, now you're talking, it's not revenue, it's not streaming numbers. These are souls.
Yeah.
You know, so having that burden for souls in everything that I do definitely plays a part.
Yeah, and it probably motivates you to, like you're saying, like take it a little more
Man.
seriously.
It just increases the value of everything.
I'll just say, outside looking in, you appear to be taking things pretty seriously. But I know, as an entrepreneurial minded person myself, like I can relate with what you're saying. Just as in, like, you could be kicking butt basically, but you still got more in you. So it's like, exactly. I want to strive for my best. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's kind of what separates us from just everyone else in a sense. You know, most people are. Not most people, but some people are like bare minimum, you know, or they're just not as driven. And it's like, that's cool. You can get by like that. Mm-hmm. But how are we going to make this impact? How are we going to stand out from the rest of the crowd? How are we going to, you know, really grow if not putting in more work?
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the foundational thing I'm learning is just in everything. It's like you want to see progress, you got to put in the work. So.
Yeah, and my bad, I completely forgot what the first question was.
Me too. At this point, I just was kind of going with it. That's fire, though. What was the first question? We were talking about artists. We're talking about rollout. Yeah. Shoot, dog. Hold up. Let me see. This is a good time just to start fresh, bro, with.
That's outlandish.
Hey, right. Come on.
So what is the most? No, I'm playing.
Oh, that was the.
Was that one of the things we were talking about?
Yeah, that's what it was. It started off with that. What was the most thing that I learned the most?
Oh yeah. So but let's catch up because if we got lost, they might have got lost.
For sure.
Basically, what I'm saying is, start from where you started and when you can remember starting at this versus like where you are.
Yeah.
And all the growth and all the success and doors open that you've seen. What's some of the most memorable or like impactful moments along the way?
I think definitely the most impactful moments have always been when I said that I knew how to do something that I didn't. That was like the kickstart for every new phase of what I learned, right? I still remember I started off. So the first time I picked up a camera, I started with photography.
Oh, okay.
There was no plans of doing videos, none of that. I started taking pictures. I thought it was cool, right? Then I had some friends come in town, and this was a time where like David Dobrik's vlogs were huge. So we're like, man, it'd be kind of fun if we just start vlogging and, you know, doing stupid stuff. So I built out a little vlog setup, started walking through the mall. We were just vlogging, and some random guy out of nowhere saw me with the camera, and he turns to me, he's like, "Hey, bro, you do music videos?" I was like, "Yeah, for sure, bro."
And at this point, you'd never done a music video?
I'd never done a music video in my life.
Crazy.
And then he proceeds to ask me, he's like, "All right, bro, fire. I want one. How much?" And dude,
you're like, cha-ching?
Bro, I said $50, bro.
Oh, what?
Yeah, because I never done one. Actually, I had never done one.
It's probably the appropriate.
I didn't know what I was. I also didn't know how to price it. You know,
of course.
Yeah, dude. And then a week later, I shot a music video, did it, learned how to edit.
Wow.
Absolutely worst video I've ever done in my life. Like it was terrible.
Is it out?
I hope not. I don't know, dude. I haven't looked it up.
Can we pull that up real quick? No,
I don't even remember what the artist's name was, to be honest. If I'm completely
no. I got you.
But yeah, just terrible, dude. Just terrible.
But it was a learning experience.
It was a learning experience, and I genuinely was interested in it. You know. So after that, excuse me. After that, it's the coffee. It's the coffee.
Yeah. We're a little ramped up on this side of the table, guys. I don't know how y'all feel,
but yeah, dude. After that, I realized that this was something I enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know, so I started taking it a little bit more seriously. Started learning. I edited the first video in iMovie. Free software.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah, facts, same, yeah.
And then after that, got Premiere, started learning a little bit more, and little by little, you know, it turned into what it turned into.
To what you're doing.
Yeah, so that was saying yes to that and just taking that step in faith. Like I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know right now. I don't know how to do it, but I know I'm confident in my ability to learn how to do it.
So looking at that from a face value, there's two ways to look at it, right? Like two school of thoughts. Essentially, from my mind, it's like. And I say this to the audience as a form of encouragement to lean more towards one side than the other. So the two sides are this. It's I'm saying I can do something knowing that I can't, and that's maybe immoral and that's arrogant. That's one way to look at it.
Right.
And some people probably do,
of course.
Right? The other way, and this is the way that I want to encourage, and what's what I'm hearing and what you see evidence of, is you look at it as a challenge to self-develop and to say, okay, maybe I can't do this yet, but I'm willing to step forward and like engage in that growth.
Yeah, and I think it's more of an ability to be okay with being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
is what it is.
And the being okay with the ability to, yes, uncomfortable, but like I might fail.
Exactly.
I might hit my head.
You know, but what's the worst that can happen? This guy's not happy with his music video, never contacts me ever again.
Yeah, you block him, keep the 50.
block him, keep the 50s crazy. But no, it's true. You know, it's my mentality with everything has always been I am perfectly okay with being uncomfortable because I know that's the place where I'll grow.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Like I feel like more people, creatives especially,
Oh my God.
like we need that mentality. Like too many people
Yeah.
want to play it safe or want to develop. And I'll even tie it back into faith. Like I hear a lot of non-believers, they don't want to go to church because they're in sin. And it's like, hello, like that's
where you need to be
that's
because
the
of that.
biggest, you know what I mean? Like God, I think, you know, I've heard church referenced as a spiritual hospital, and it's where the sick go, you know, for healing. And, you know, people don't go to the hospital because they're healthy. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to be okay. Okay, so now going back to the artistry, like you got to be okay with being uncomfortable. Like, you know, something I can relate to personally is like I'm trying to find new sound, bro. Like as far as like my music, like if I go back in all my discography, the majority of it is not consistent sonically.
Gotcha.
And that's because I'm in the process of like being uncomfortable and seeing what works, what I'm best at, what I like. And then also that's kind of like my triple set. Like, am I good at it? Do I like it? And is it received?
Yeah.
If it's two of those, but not the other, it's like, okay, let's try something else, you know? And so it's just part of that journey, you know, part of that growth. And yeah, it's pretty cool, man. So saying no, this man throws himself out in the pool and learns how to swim.
That's literally
That's
it,
it, bro. That's the secret sauce right there.
And
if you guys were wondering what it was,
yeah, and the truth is, we never stop doing that.
facts.
There's always something else to learn, you know, and
Especially in this industry.
Oh yeah, dude. And so being in this, like, man, I've been trying to have a successful business for the past 7 years of my life.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, I went through like every season. There was a season where I was convinced, like, if I don't sleep, I'm gonna be able to work more, and I'll figure it out sooner.
Yeah.
I kid you not. I took the bed out of my room, turned it into a studio, and I opened it up. I was like, whoever wants to come in and work, let's work. Like, give me stuff
24/7.
Literally, bro. I was sleeping 2 hours a night.
That's crazy.
For like, this is like 6 to 9 months straight.
That's crazy.
You know, it was stupid.
That's
absolutely
hunger.
stupid.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was hunger. It was just like arrogance. I don't know.
No one was there. Maybe at the time you just weren't being. There was no like someone in to say like someone in leadership, right? Maybe just to say like, hey, bro, maybe you need sleep.
Oh no, I had people telling me, because I lived with like 5 of my friends at the time.
Oh, shoot.
And they would tell me that. But my mentality was like, dude, you're not fighting for the same stuff I'm fighting for. You're cool with going to a 9 to 5, like that's fine. Like I'm going to a 9 to 5, and then I'm coming back here and working 5 to 9.
Yeah.
Right?
Come
Because
on, talk
I knew
about it.
I was just so. I guess it was like a hunger. It was definitely a hunger mixed with like ignorance, arrogance, and delusion.
It was something you had to. It was like coming from a good place, but it's something that had to be redirected.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what those 6 years were. It was I was using the wrong vehicle to do the goal.
Yeah.
You know, and little by little started figuring it out. Started, like you said, you do 2 things. The third one's not working. You start.
You gotta rebuild.
What's the next phase? What's
Yeah.
the next phase? What's the next phase? And the reality of it is, I just didn't have anybody in place above me showing me the ropes.
Yeah.
I had YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, I had YouTube, and like I'm grateful for that. I learned everything off YouTube. Now I'm grateful to have mentors and people that I like have done insane numbers in revenue and know how to properly run and scale a business.
Yeah.
That I can easily just like, hey man, I'm having this issue, and they have the solution, right? But I'm grateful for the 6 years of me learning the foundations instead of just being told what to do, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like
Coming from a more mentorship
exactly
state as far instead of management.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just direction, right? Which I didn't have when I was learning. But regardless, like the past 6 years of failure,
Right.
every time was a learning opportunity, you know? So while I would fail and people would tell me, just go back to school, like get the safe option, do that, like everything was already set up for you. I was like, man, like I now can go into my next opportunity with a little bit more knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a little bit, there's a little bit higher of a chance that it'll work.
Right.
And
Just slowly increasing those odds and just staying persistent.
Exactly. And my mindset was always, I'm okay with fighting for this for the next 20, 30, 40 years of my life, even if it takes that long for it to work.
Right.
I know it can work. At the end of the day, it's all a numbers game.
Yeah. If you do something a million times.
There's luck involved.
Yeah.
One of them will happen. It's bound to work, right? And then each time, you know, it's like you have the people that have these videos that go viral and promote their song, right? Most of the time, it's not their first video. But you can't get to that 1,000th or even like 500th video unless you do your first one.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's something that people lose sight of, is they see something that worked for somebody else,
Try to imitate that.
try to imitate it, and then they get discouraged when it doesn't work. Reality of it is, dude, he learned the skills for that video that made that video work because he did it 1,000 times.
Yeah. All that work and all that success that you see on the surface level
Exactly.
was built way beforehand on
dude.
like
Oh my
on
God,
failure and experience.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
bro, that's real, bro. Like people, I think a lot of the younger generation, especially like let's just narrow it down to our space, like who we're relevant toward, or not who we're relevant toward, but like the CHH community and artists in there, millennials and Gen Z, like this community.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people looking for that quick come up, bro. Because they saw one or two people do it,
Yeah.
and it's like. It kind of makes me wonder, like, because like my artistry, like I'm in a similar boat. Like I'm okay with putting in the work because my goal for artistry isn't even really clear to me yet. Like I don't know what I would view as like success or like what I'm actually striving for. I just know I enjoy doing that. You know what I mean? So, but some people they're like, oh, I need to go on tour right now. I need to be on tour next year, and I need to be selling out venues. And it's like, okay, cool, but what happens when that doesn't happen? Are you still going to be willing to put in the work, or like? You got to be.
Or even with that, I think the worst case scenario is that it does happen and it doesn't produce what you think is going to come out of it.
Yeah. So now you're just stuck holding.
Yeah. You're like, oh, dude, I got exactly like this was supposed to be it. And then it happens and you're like, what?
Now what?
Yeah. And that's something I'm so clear with like artists that I work with and help develop in the sense of, man, this is going to take 5 years. Are you okay with that? No. All right. Then I'm not your person.
Then, yeah.
But that's what it takes. Because let's say you get an artist, releases one song, their first song goes crazy viral.
Yeah.
They have a moment, but there's no foundation for that fan base to sit, lay, and build.
There's nothing.
Right? They digest that song, and they're off to find that next one-hit wonder. Yeah. Right? Whereas, like, if it's an artist that's been a slow grind, like Jova's been doing music for like 15 years, bro.
Right.
Throughout all that,
putting in work,
bettering his craft, right? You think the first song he releases is as good as the one that he's about to release now? Like, absolutely not. And I love Jova, right? But like, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
Not the talent wasn't there, but because the implementation of the talent is what we need to figure out, right?
Yeah,
How do I take the talent and lay it down in a digestible format, right? And once you build that, you have that foundation. One, if somebody finds you and they're like, dude, this song is insane, and they start going through your catalog, now they have 50, 60, 70 songs to go and listen to. They're never going to stop listening to you.
Right.
That's how you create those long-term fan bases.
Exactly.
But if you have somebody that's like 3 songs in and they're like, man, I need to go on tour next year, and they somehow get the opportunity through relationships, they're going to go open up for that artist. That fan base isn't there to see you. Right. Like I think that's what.
That's another thing. Like you have to.
You're going to a Hovey concert. You're there to see Hovey, not whoever is opening up for him.
Opening up is merely an opportunity. It's not your.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're putting too much pressure and too much expectation on these what could and should be stepping stones, but we're trying to make them like milestones.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Versus like
they should be achievements.
It can be a milestone. Maybe that wasn't the right word, but like it's not a. It's not the ultimate. You know what I mean?
People will see it as like an end all be all. Like if this happens, I'll be successful.
Yes.
And then it happens, and that success doesn't stay there. It's a moment, right? But there's no foundation for them to stay. That fan base to come into. Like you're creating a world around everything you do, right?
Exactly.
And if somebody's able to step into it and live there, that's what you want. And if you have 1, 2, 3 songs out, you don't even know who you are as an artist.
Facts. Yeah. You're like, you don't even know. You're not even giving them your best self.
Exactly.
Yet. And I also think of artists too, like historically, who have like, and now I'm stepping outside of CHH, but like artists who have like been on top of the world, kind of collapsed, and then like came back, and then like that just goes to show you too, like there's stages and like there's process and all of this, and it's just whether or not you're willing, if said individual is willing to like remain consistent through those seasons.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like going into it with a mindset of even if this, I'm so passionate about this. Even if it never gets me the quote unquote success, I'm still enjoying every step. Still
contributing, giving it my all.
Exactly,
bro. Speaking of giving it your all, man, you've been going crazy with the CURB, bro. You've been let's see, CURB has multiple branches. Like it's like CURB Live, right? I mean, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
But
it's, like I said, it's creating a world. Right?
Yeah, it's creating that. But you've got different legs, unofficial legs.
Yeah,
because the one truly official thing is like the CURB.
Mm-hmm.
But what is that, man? And how to get started, and what are some of the goals you got going on with the CURB?
So what it is, in short, we are here to serve the artist and find something I say all the time is I want the CURB to be something that finds the artist that has 5 monthly listeners that should have over 500,000, right? So finding the people that are genuinely so talented but are undiscovered.
Yeah.
And so with that, there's different facets and different areas of how we do it, different tactics and strategies, right? So our first, like how we launched was, hey, we're doing a live stream. We're listening to your music. The best song of the night gets a free music video, right? So there's a selling point. There's something that they're getting out of it, and we get to find dope new artists.
Yeah.
And it served the purpose.
So it's kind of like incentivized.
Exactly. Like
exposure.
I wanted to create something that people genuinely wanted to play a role in,
Right.
without me having to beg and like, yo, please submit your music.
Send me your songs.
No, it's like, yo, we're putting this feeler out. If you want to be a part of this,
See what bites.
exactly.
Yeah, that's fire.
It worked. You know, we had good collaborations out the gate that facilitated the process. But yeah, so that was kind of just like phase one. And
When was that, by the way? Let's
that
talk
was
timeline.
March 2024.
Okay, cool.
Was when we launched.
Just about over
About a year ago. Yeah. But the idea for Curb started 2 years before that.
Of course.
And-
See, and that's the stuff that
Yeah.
it's what it takes. Like it all takes time.
Yeah, because that was the thing. Like from when we launched, it seemed like we came in and we were swinging.
Yeah.
There was 2 years of planning that happened before that, and that wasn't because of me. God gave me the vision of what this could look like and the idea for Curb 2 years before we launched, right?
Right.
But he also told me, not yet.
Mm.
And I was like, man, what do you mean not yet? Like this is
want
such
it now.
Yeah, because it was like, dude, this is such a dope idea. I want to run with it now. And I was like, all right, God, like if not now, then when? And it was like, dude, God was so clear in showing me. He was like, you'll know. And I was like, that is so vague, bro. Like,
Yeah. Like, come
How?
on, give me something more than that.
how am I gonna know? Like, what do I look for? Are you gonna send me a sign and have somebody just come to me like, hey, now's the time, launch it? Like, I don't know what this looks like, right? Didn't hear nothing back from God, and I was like, all right, cool.
Jeez.
But within those 2 years, I knew it wasn't time to launch, but I wanted to make sure that whenever we did launch, it was like
It was smooth.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's 2 years of vision planning, like running ideas by friends and stuff, and like, yo, if this existed and it looked like this, would you watch it? Would you submit? Would you play a role, right? And it was a lot of that, and eventually, it was kind of funny, man. There was another marketing agency that was trying to hire me on.
Okay.
Right? So they're like, hey man, come to the offices. Like we want to show you around, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, like I'll feel you guys out. I'll see what's up. Right? I was like, I'm probably not gonna take this, but you know, I'll hear you guys.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Like the offer was like, it was a good offer. It was a dope offer, but it just, I can't work for somebody. Like I'm trying to grow some like my stuff,
yeah.
you know. But they took me to their offices and they're showing me around, and then they're like, yo, okay, so this is like where we were, blah 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 blah. Here's our podcast studio. And as soon as they opened the door, and I already had the branding colors, I already had the design, the logos for everything. I walk in and I see that everything in there is like branded yellow. And I was like, yo, God, is this it? And God was like, yo, this is it. And
Dang.
the next week we went live.
Wow.
Right.
That was
So
fast.
I told them, I was like, yo, I appreciate the job offer. You know, like I'm honored, but it's not for me. What's up with that studio though? And they're like, hey, we rented out $250 an hour. And I was like, all right, set me in for next week. Like I'm there. And I did not know what I was doing. As far as like live streaming, I had no idea.
Wow.
I knew the concepts.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I knew that I could connect their stuff to my computer and run it. Right.
That's one of those things you had to step up and learn, like
Exactly.
on the spot. Yeah.
The same mentality that I had when somebody asked me
From the jump.
"Can you do a music video?"
Yeah.
I had it taken place for myself. Right. I don't know how to do this, but I know I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. And man, I think we announced that we were going like live at 7. We didn't go live till like 8:30, bro. And even then, there was still like 30, 40 people.
Yeah, people
on the
tapping
stream.
in.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody was like, yo, when we started, we're like, dude, we're trying. Like, please be patient. You know, we're figuring this out. A lot of it was like audio issues.
That was us today when y'all pulled up.
Nah, it was way worse, bro. We were way worse. I promise. Like, I genuinely thought we were about to have to reschedule.
Oh, wow.
But we figured it out. We got it working just enough to like run the stream, and each stream, you know, I think we did 2 or 3 streams, and then it was like, okay, this is working. Now I'm gonna reinvest into it. So that's when I went out and bought all the equipment that was specific for streaming. You know,
Fire.
yeah, I'm talking like I probably dropped like $3,000 just to run everything efficient.
To make sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And
That's what it takes, man. You got to invest, bro.
yeah, then that's
another
it.
thing,
But you
too,
gotta make sure it's working first. I think that's what people will make the excuse like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have the tools. It's like, bro, you have a phone in your pocket. That's a camera.
You can make it work.
You can go record a video outside. It's gonna go viral.
Yeah.
You don't need a $2,000 camera.
It's just doing it
It's just doing it exactly, and that practice will.
and trying to do it.
Yeah, and learning. You learn. That's how you learn.
Being intentional.
But yeah, so we started, and that was like I said, phase 1. Then once we started that working, because to me that's like what in the marketing world is called a lead magnet.
Okay.
Where you're incentivizing your audience to participate and like become a part of your world through something that's like free and
Right.
just like of good value that facilitates them being an inbound lead, right? And the thing is, I had so many ideas and strategies of how we can monetize this, how we can grow it, that I knew we weren't going to be able to launch for 2-3 years down the line.
Sure, yeah.
Because first we needed to create something that people wanted to be a part of.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so we launched that. That's also when we launched the live performances with the yellow mic.
Yeah.
Which is 100% just a branding piece.
Those are major. Like, I feel like, and I could be wrong, but the general audience probably knows you most out of everything that
For sure.
Curb does. That's probably what you're most known and most seen for.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the goal. That was the goal. Because that's like when you have like content in this world, there's different facets, right? Like different audiences. You have to know what your avatar is and what you're targeting with that.
Right.
So the music reviews, we're targeting artists. That's who we're going after, right? Then the performances, the content piece of it, outwardly, we're targeting the consumer base, right? Because the people that are listening to their music, they're probably going to watch this video of them performing. But it also works as an inbound lead from the artist that wants to be featured.
A part of.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So you're hitting it from different angles.
Yeah. And
smart.
that's why we launched the reviews first, because the mentality behind it is if the artist buys in first, their audience will they will, it's like a cosign from the artist, and their audience will buy in with whatever we launch afterwards,
because the artist's name or image is already.
So it's like we're leveraging all and that everything we do is based on collaboration, right? So every post that we put up is collaborated with the artist that's on there, which is a cosign, which is we're leveraging their personal brand to build ours.
Yes.
You know, and so that's how out the gate we were doing posts when we had like 20 followers.
Well, and likewise, you're leveraging their already existing platform to acquire.
Yeah, we're leveraging their credibility and their fan base to pour over into what we're doing.
Hey, hold up, bro. Wait, we gotta pause, bro. This man is putting on too much game right now. Artists, content creators, podcasters, whatever you do, listen up. Like, it's all about the collaboration. Like, there's too many of us going out here trying to be a one-man band, trying to get it out the mud, trying to do this. I do me. I got the world on my shoulders. Bro, we're sitting in front of an example, and he's talking. If you've been hearing anything this man's saying, let me sum it up for you. Like, it's about collaborating. It's about making intentional moves that are going to grow your audience. Because that's the world we live in. We live in a digital world 100%. Where even if you're a 12-year-old, boy or girl who just posts selfies, you have an audience.
Yeah.
Those 15 people from your middle school that follow you, that's your audience. So we're living in a world, if you want to grow your audience, I'm just going to let
I think the biggest mentality with that too is realizing that in our space, in our world, we are all fighting for the same thing.
Right.
And it's not our success, is bringing glory to God,
bro.
And allowing other people to see it from a different lens. You know, we've been in this season in the past where it's like, Christian hip hop is corny.
Yeah.
It's cringe. It's not good. Like, you're talking about God. Like, whatever. That's for you, bro. That's not for me. But like, the reality is, dude, like, Jesus is the coolest person I know.
Right.
He's the one that he laid all this out and did it perfectly. You know, and that's the goal. Like, my goal is, I have a burden for souls. I want people to know the same Jesus that I know.
Yeah, and experience them in maybe not in the exact same way.
Yeah.
But like, let's step outside of what they've experienced and what they've presupposed already in their mind.
Exactly.
Let's flip it up. Let's make it fresh.
Dude, God is cool, bro. Like, he's a cool person. Jesus, he was flipping tables, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not this thing. Like, he did that stuff, obviously, right? Like, he was in tune with God.
He did his thing.
Right? He did his thing, you know what I'm saying? He slept on a boat when it was like shaky, whatever, right? But like,
chilling.
Hey, just chilling, because he knew his place, right?
Come on.
And if we're all fighting for that same, everybody says that's the mission we're fighting for, right? Then you go and ask them for a collab. They're like, bro, 50K. It's like
50K is crazy.
Like, thought we were all doing this for God. Obviously, there's a price and a value to everything.
But it'd be like that, though.
You see,
you're not wrong, bro. Like, I don't want to go in there. Not on this episode.
And I go in there, bro. Go in there.
Nah,
get canceled today. Get canceled.
Yeah, let me, like, bro, I'm working on relationships, not trying to.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, when you said, the Christian rap is corny, how we've like trying to fight against that as a culture, as a community, it's really true. And I just so random, but I think of that reel of like that pastor. It's like an old 90s like music video. He's like, I like big Bibles and I can't. I don't know. Anyways, man, I gotta ask you, bro. The curb. Does what's the symbolism in that? Is there significance behind that?
Yeah. It's actually super, super.
What
basic.
is it? Because it's
bro. Just think back to when you were like a little kid and you'd go hang out outside. Most of the time when you were kicking with your boys, you were chilling on the curb. And so it's this idea of, man, let's just go back to that innocence where we don't care about what's going on in the world. We're there having our genuine conversations and letting people come into that world, right? Yeah. And it's biblical, bro. God says it, be childlike.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of like, yeah, there's like insane amount of strategy that goes and intentionality behind everything that we do. But the core concept is, dude, I enjoy this music. I enjoy being in this world. And like a little kid would do, I want to show that and show everybody that.
It's a good place to be, man. And that's because of this space.
No pressure.
Yeah, no, and because of this space, man, because of the way it's been recently and like the way our circles intertwined and came together, that's how we came to like have have a friendship, bro, and like know each other and get to like collaborate on things, you know. And we're
wink, wink.
We're gonna touch on that, but before we get to that, because that's really what I want to focus on and end with essentially. But one thing before getting there is, I see some new ink, and I know what it is because I got the Untitled.
Hey, putting me on flat.
Hey, so I don't know if you want to go there, but
yeah, we can go there.
What's up, bro?
Yeah, so I don't know if the camera's gonna catch it. Where is it?
Let's see if this one hits you up real quick. Shaka pow.
Yeah, this tattoo right here.
Yeah.
Dang, I gotta like freaking play Jenga with my arm, bro. This tattoo right here, it's a little tracing that I did of the house that I grew up in once like we moved to Texas.
Okay.
And it's a little trace, but what it was made for it's the cover art for an EP that I've been working on. And the concept of the EP is called New Home, and the idea of it is finding the place that God has for me that has been ordained for me that I've almost been hesitant to step into, right? And the thing is that it required me seeing everything clearly, going back to my roots, canceling out every idea that I had constructed of myself and my identity and everything
as a person and as an artist.
Exactly. Yeah. Because so really, what happened was, I make music for fun, right? Like I'll put it out. I've never really like pushed it heavily, just because like I've been trying to do so many different things. And I just do it for fun, right?
I feel you.
The thing is, I'm surrounded by a lot of people that are very successful at what they do with their music.
Yeah.
So I never felt like I was making music for the validation of people. But subconsciously, I was chasing the validation of my friends.
That was there, yeah.
Yeah, because I would every track I'd say, "Hey, bro, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think." Right. And so naturally, I was making what they were making because I thought that's what they would like. And that, like I said, that's the world that I was in. I had told myself that that's what I wanted to make, and it just wasn't me. It wasn't my identity. It wasn't my place in this industry.
Yeah.
Right. And it was over a phone call that I had this realization with somebody because they were telling me something that it like clicked in my mind. I was like, "Oh, I've been an idiot, bro." And then I was out in Atlanta when that phone conversation happened, and then I got back home, and I woke up the next day like 7 a.m, and I was like, you know what? Let me just make something. What would I make if it's just a song that's between me and God, and nobody's ever gonna listen to this? And I wasn't even in the studio. Like it was just me, my laptop, a basic interface, and a microphone, right? Just in my room, just having a very intimate moment with God.
Yeah. Right.
But there was nothing that was facilitating that. It was just where I was in my life, and I was opening myself to that. Right. And yeah, so I just locked in. Yeah, I wrote this song in like 20, 30 minutes, maybe, recorded everything.
Dang.
And it was completely different to anything else that I had made.
Yeah.
Right. And there was almost like no pressure behind it because I'm not showing anybody. Right. And as soon as I finished making it, I went and did the good old car test, right? And I sat in the car, went for a drive, and I just had it on repeat. And like I was like in tears, bro.
Wow.
Just like there was conviction behind like, why have I been faking this for so long? Why have I been trying to convince myself that this is who I wanted to be?
Put yourself in that box.
And yeah, exactly. And like hearing something that was genuinely me for the first time, like it just because it came out of straight outpour of my relationship with God in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that completely, it was almost like, people like deconstruct their faith, right? It's like almost like an excuse to like take a break from God.
Yeah.
I felt like in that moment, I deconstructed who I thought I was as like a creative, not even just an artist, not even just who I was as like somebody that makes content for outward.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, it was just like, I felt like an idiot, truthfully, and that turned into, I was like, all right, if I made one, I can make two.
Yeah.
And then I made another one, the same thing, like 10, 15 minutes, it was done, right? And I made 4 songs off of that, and I was like, man, like these are all on brand. they all kind of tell the same story, like different
They
sectors
connect.
of the story. They connect.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, you know what? Let's make it into an EP. And so that's what we did. That's what I did. And yeah, so still working on it little by little.
For sure.
The bulk of it's done. I'm just releasing all the stuff that I had, kind of like I'm backlogging my catalog.
Yeah.
That I just feel like, let's put it out.
Something before the EP.
Exactly.
Well, the EP is good enough from his eyes, just so you know, obviously, to get it tatted. So like, yo, this is gonna be a crazy project. And I don't mean to like make y'all, if you're watching this, I'm not trying to make you jealous. I've heard it. It's fire. It's very different. It's not what you would expect.
Yeah.
There's really, I can't even put my finger on a genre. Like, it's just, I do feel like it's leaning towards those rockish kind of vibes.
Yeah, it's like if I have to like put it anywhere, it's gonna be like indie. But indie's such like indie alternative. It's such a it's almost like a cop out,
Of just
I people have asked me like, oh, what genre is it? I have no idea.
You're like, bro, it's heaven, son.
Come on.
It's really good, man. Guys, I'm sorry, I begged him before we pressed record. I said, hey, we gotta show him, we gotta do another world. He didn't want to do it, so we're gonna keep it on the low for now. But just know that the new EP, what is it, New Home?
Yeah, it's called New Home.
The new EP, New Home, man, is coming straight from HVNSON.
Hey,
straight from Hanson, straight from Heezy, man, and some singles coming before that. That's all coming up on the music side.
Yeah. And
something that's before that's also coming up on the music side that incorporates both of us, man. This is major, man. This is like, hold up, bro. This is This is different. Like, okay, bro, I don't even know how to start. All right, for those of you who watch, know what I do. We got Outlandish Fest, right? 2025 is in the works, man. It's around the corner, and
quick.
We're hoping and praying and striving for this to be our best year yet. Not just in numbers, but in impact and experience for not just audience, but for artists and for us ourselves. Like, me and the team, me and my boy Dare, like we took ourselves off of the lineup to really make room just to grow something for everybody else. You know what I mean? To really make room so also we can enjoy the event. Like, it's very hard to enjoy an event when you got to go perform. I mean, you can do it. It's not a big deal, especially at our level. Like, we're still growing. But like, man, there's a lot of things going on. And one of the things, and I want to talk about this for just a brief moment, because we're reaching our time here. But, bro, the first ever in-person performance of the CURB collection.
The first, bro.
And man, this is big in a lot of ways. Like, this is taking you and your team outside of just an online presence and putting it on stage for people to see. So first of all, we're super honored, super humbled that this is happening at our event. But what can you say about it, bro? Like, I know we can't leak too much because it's a big one. This is juicy. This is juicy for real. But man, what's up with it, dude?
Yeah. So first of all, it's a huge honor on our end that you would, one, trust us with this, and two, just believe in us enough to want us to be a part of something that you've been building and cultivating yourself for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a huge honor. And with that, I just want to make sure that we don't underplay what it is, right? And that we're as intentional about what we're doing and that we make the most out of it. Right?
Yeah. No, that's real.
And so just building off of what CURB is and what CURB stands for, like, I'm here for the community. We wouldn't be where we're at and getting the opportunities that we've been getting if it weren't for the follower base that's there pushing us every single time. Every time we release something, they're there supporting, commenting, liking, sharing, whatever it is. And one thing that I've been very, very intentional about is that whatever opportunities I get as Hanson with CURB is leveraged out immediately to our community, because that's what it's about, right? And so as soon as you brought it up to me, it's like, hey, man. And I feel like we've kind of been going back and forth.
It was really you, bro. Like, because the way I remember it is we were like, okay, we knew. And then me and Dare had talked about it too. We were like, okay, this guy's onto something. Like, you're doing something, right? And that naturally, like, gravitates, right?
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, there's got to be some level of collaboration. And so me and you were having a phone call. Matter of fact, it was this time last month because I was on my way to do a day, just like today, shoot 3 episodes. And so I basically chopped it up with you the whole way here. And I kind of like vaguely mentioned collaboration. In my small mind, I was like, yeah, let's do like a merch drop or something. And you were like, okay, that's cool. and you're like, but what if we did something like Curb X Outlandish, where basically where you RNA a set, or what's the word you RNA?
Super A&R.
RNA. Stupid. All right, where you A&R a set, bro, and you curate. There we go. I like that word. Where you curate like a mini lineup in a superset, and it's like put on by the Curb. And like the minute you said that, I was like, that's it. Like that has to be the first collab because there's so much opportunity in that, you know, and there's so much like, it's a moment, bro. And it's like, it's a big moment on both ends. And so the fact that like to see it come together like that, and you had mentioned too, it's right after a couple of things that you got going on also. Yeah. So it makes sense on the calendar, and it's just like,
for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's been locked in since then, really.
Yeah, and man, like I said, it's crazy that you said it's only a month ago, because I feel like all the conversations we've had towards this, and we're still like months out.
Yeah.
Right? So, but all the conversations we've had in the regard to the collaboration makes it feel like we've been planning this out for like a year already, right? But that's the level of intentionality from our end and from your end as well, that we're doing this together. And man, I just want to like say huge thank you for believing in us enough to allow us to like be a part of this, but also like just thank you for hearing me out on all the craziness that like I'm bringing to the table, right? Because like
you got a lot going on,
bro. You give me a little bit, I'm gonna find out how to take a lot. You know what I'm saying? And in the sense of, I want this to be amazing. Right? I want to cultivate a moment to allow God to come into the room and like just let God be God, right? And just deliver on the performance side as well.
Yeah.
And man, luckily over the last couple of years of just being in the space, I've been able to build amazing relationships with like super dope, super talented artists, that now we finally get to do something with it. You know,
bringing it to life, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just an extension of what Curb is and what Curb stands for. And like you said, this is the first like in-person performance or event. Like we're taking all the music that we've been cultivating and like piecing together on an online presence, and we're bringing it to life, man. So I'm so hyped, so excited for this. Yeah,
man. The Curb superset at Outlandish is one you don't want to miss. For those of you tapped in with Outlandish, we'll be dropping. Let's see this. This drops, I guess, what did I say earlier? June? So this episode... So
June 5th.
Yeah, so right now it's like the beginning of June. If you're watching this, should be. Right now it's like the beginning of June. Lock in with us, man. Give us a follow at outlandishfest.tx. And on top of that, hit the Curb. You know, hit the Curb. We're going to have Hanson here give all his stuff here in a minute and give us some closing regards. But I'm telling you right now, like I'm a little biased, obviously, because this is something we're doing. But you don't want to miss, like you need to be a part of this rollout. You need to be at the event. If you're not in DFW, I don't care. Buy a plane ticket, get here.
It'll be worth it.
Outlandish Fest 2025, alongside the Curb Superset, we've got some other things going on. And then just inside the Curb Superset itself, I can't leak nothing.
Yeah.
But
I will say in that regard,
it's going to go crazy.
You're going to see a lot of dope stuff once we start rollout. But I promise you, we're going to save the best without being an announcement. So you're either there and you experience it. You're not going to know what's coming. Yeah. And if you're there, you get to experience it, you're not going to regret it. So that plane ticket is going to be worth it for sure.
You're only going to know if you're there.
Exactly.
I mean, you only get so much on the internet. You know what? Matter of fact, if you're watching this the day it drops, you already know more than everybody else. So
that's facts. That's facts.
Stay tapped in. Mr. Hanson, bro, thank you so much, bro.
Thank you, brother.
I know we could keep going for hours.
Yeah.
You're a man of many skills, many hats, and thank you for opening up and sharing on the pod. Before we roll out, man, that's your camera right there. So if you want to just say any kind of inspiring message or something on your heart, drop the socials and talk to the people, man.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, thank you, bro. Thank you for believing in me enough to bring me on and think that my time's valuable enough to share with you guys, right? But to everybody out there, anybody that's watching, you know, if you go on like my socials and you see all this crazy stuff that we're able to do, this didn't happen overnight. I failed for 6-7 years. And the thing is, I was okay with that because I knew I was delusional. That's the reality of it. If you're delusional, don't feel bad about it. Bite into it. And eventually something's going to pay off. It might not be exactly what you look for or what you thought it was going to be, but it's going to be something that God called you to. And I think that's the most important thing. I got intentional about stewardship. And that's something that God laid on my heart like late last year was sometimes it won't look like what you want it to look like, or it won't seem like it's going to lead into what you think it should. But we're called to obedience. Right. And man, there was some fields that I was on that I did not want to water, but I knew God put me there and I knew I needed to steward it correctly.
Yeah.
Everything else was an outpouring of that. So follow God, be obedient, and be delusional. It's okay. Anybody that's telling you to get rooted, hey, maybe you don't need to be around them so much. But with that being said, follow your dreams. Man, that's all we can do. We live this life one time. Let's make the most out of it. If you want to tap in with me, my creative IG is _HVNSON. If you're interested in business and scaling and marketing and all that stuff, my personal page, Hanson_Mendez, I think it is. Just look up my name, Hanson Mendez. It'll pop up.
I'll put it in the.
Yeah. I just started dropping content on there, tailored around like more technical stuff that most people won't think is fun. But if you got a business, it could be what takes you from a couple grand to $100,000 over a year. So
sure. Cool, man. Hey, thank you so much. You heard it right here, folks, on Grace and Good Friends. Follow your dreams, obey God, and get a ticket to OL25 because the Curb Supersets making their debut performance in person. Let's get it one more time. A little late. Love y'all, man. Good night. Peace.